Theresa May is a rare political beast, a senior figure who is barely known even after a decade at the top. Friends say the country will soon warm to their new Prime Minister.
Nick, what there? Well, where on earth does this leave the Conservatives? United around the slogan Brexit means Brexit, but what does Brexit actually mean? United around the vision for the disadvantaged? United around the socially liberal agenda for same-sex marriage and the like that got a mention in Downing Street today? Well, let's talk to two people from different wings of the Conservative Party, the MP Heidi Allen and Peter Lilly, who was a Cabinet Minister in the Thatcher and Major governments. Good evening to you both.
Good evening.
Heidi Allen, happy with what you heard on the steps of Downing Street?
It feels like the Conservatives reborn. I could not believe what I was hearing from Theresa May. I'm so excited. It feels like everything I said in my maiden speech, and this is a new era. This is new Conservatives, and I think it's brilliant. Everything she said.
And
today.
you had actually been in the referendum campaign, I think, or the leadership campaign, a bit rude about Boris Johnson, and who's now suddenly back. He's Foreign Secretary.
In a different role. You know, I wasn't rude about him. I just felt that his intentions were not actually around the country and whether Brexit was the right thing, just about whether he wanted to be leader. And I didn't feel he was the right man to be leader, so I'm absolutely delighted.
So he isn't leader, so you can be happy. You're on board. Everybody's on board. Are you on board, Peter Lilly?
I was confiding in you earlier that I'm unusually euphoric. I don't do euphoria normally, but actually I feel that we're now heading in the right direction. We can unify as a party. We can get on with it. And I think she's created a structure which will enable us to speed up the process far more than people are expecting.
Let's come to Brexit in a minute. I mean, when she spoke about the nasty party, right, all those years ago, 2002, many would say she was really talking about the tone and the policies, some of which were associated with you as the welfare and social security in the 90s. Are you happy that the journey the party's taken through David Cameron to the tone she struck today, you're completely happy with that?
Yes, very much so. And I dispute what you say about being associated with me, but I think we ought to be a party whose focus is on those who can least help themselves. We obviously want to let everybody fulfil their potential, because unless they do, we won't be able to help those who least can help themselves. But we have to do those two things: enable people to fulfil their potential so that we've got the wealth and the ability to help those who are at the bottom of the pile, who've got least opportunities themselves.
Can I take it that social liberalism, let's call it what it is, same-sex marriage, that debate is over? You were against it when the vote came up, but it's done. Everybody seems to be accepting that now.
I hope so,
the
yes.
Conservative Party is a socially liberal party. What about the economic liberalism? Because we think of the Conservatives as being deregulators. Today we were hearing, you know, workers' rights, all these kinds of things are well back on the agenda. You're comfortable with that? Is that the party you join?
Why can't we do both?
Well, because one involves more regulation and one involves less regulation, and they may be in conflict.
But it's about finding the right amount for the right context, isn't it? And, you know, saying that you're the party that wants to over-regulate everything or under... The world isn't like that now, and I think we have to be flexible. And, you know, I think with this real change in leadership now, I was so pleased to hear Theresa talking about some of the more difficult things for a Conservative Party typically to get a hold on, but we have to do it. And the journey that you described to Peter just then, yes, we, I think, have come through it. What we need to do now is convince the people that we've come through it and that we're sincere about it. And that will be harder, but I think it's perfectly doable.
OK, well, we're all social liberals now, was the phrase we just had. Are you not still an economic liberal? Do you not fear that national living wage at £9, some of the talk about other stuff is...
Well, I always believed you either had to have a minimum income guarantee or a minimum wage. And we had a mixture of the two, which was rather silly. Now we've moved to having a living wage, and that should be the basic protection for people in work. And I think that's very, very acceptable. But I never believed you could have neither.
Right. Right. So, I mean, you are sounding all in harmony with everything you've heard.
I'm sorry, that's very disappointing.
No, it's not. It's fine. It's fine.
No,
because I'm trying to get clear in my head just where everybody is.
But doesn't it just show how we had to get the right leader? Somebody that had been so neutral during this referendum campaign that could do exactly what we're experiencing now, bring both sides together, and not everyone.
OK, now I don't want to intrude on the. I don't want to poop the party that you're having, but let's just talk about Brexit, because actually the three Brexit leaders who are now the Liam Fox, Boris Johnson, David Davis, who are leading the Brexit management process. I don't know if they all have the same vision of Brexit. Just, Peter Lilly, what is the minimum Brexit that means Brexit?
Well, it was about taking back control of our laws, our money and our borders. So we have to do those things. I hear lots of discussion about negotiation. There will have to be some negotiations, probably after we've left. There are lots of decisions about lots of complicated issues, but we have to make those decisions. And what I hope, she's created a structure, she put David Davis there. I hope she personally will lead the process in a way Ted Heath led the opposite process. And he had Geoffrey Rippon under him with powers to knock heads together in the different departments. I hope David Davis will have that delegated power from her to drive it through so that we can get it done quicker, because the one danger we face is uncertainty. And the sooner we can have it done, the less uncertainty.
Right. The new Chancellor, Philip Hammond, suggested that it would take 6 years.
I think that's one reason why he'll be a much better Chancellor than Foreign Secretary.
Right. I wonder, Heidi, whether putting those 3 to look after the process, is that a reward for what they did in the referendum? Or is that, OK, guys, it's your problem.
You clear it up.
Nothing to do with me. You got us here. It's yours to sort out.
I think it's probably 70% the former and a tiny little bit of the latter. But, you know, ultimately, if you want something to be done well, you have to appoint people that really believe in it. And, you know, Theresa is, I think, recognises her strengths in leadership. And, you know, it's having the right team, isn't it? And you delegate responsibility to the people with those skills.
I wonder, Peter Lilly, whether if they don't get remotely what they've written they are going to get.
What have they written?
Well, David Davis has written a big piece on what he's going to achieve. If he doesn't get close to that, and there are people who are sceptical that he'll be able to, do we then have to have another referendum or election on the deal that emerges, or we just take what we're given?
Well, no, and it certainly wouldn't depend on David Davis actually achieving what he's written in one article. Right. The referendum result was clear. We've got to deliver it. And there isn't too much doubt about that delivery. We also have to go into any negotiations on trade, which the Trade Commissioner in the EU has said will take place after we've left, which is probably right. We have to go there with a hard-headed realisation that if it's trading on WTO tariff terms, so be it. We don't want that, but that is better than...
That's the backstop.
Yes, and only if you go into negotiations knowing that you can take what they think is the worst they can impose on you, that you can succeed.
Get a strong...
And then we'll get a good deal for us and a good deal for Europe and a good deal for the world.
So much to see to pan out over the next few years. Thank you both very much indeed. Now we need to talk about economic policy in more detail. Can I be the first to label it Theresanomics?